preemptive or maybe detrimental to the processes we're undertaking of reconciliation if I begin to start now using this platform, begin to discuss individuals. I think in principle you've understood that one of the challenges has been basically unilateral decisions that individuals were making, and also the mode of communication to the public, which I think began to now border on individual personal conflicts, which started affecting the institution. Where we are saying, for the sake of the Zambian people, we have to begin and make efforts for people to reconcile, for us not only to reconcile in terms of at individual level, but also to reconcile in terms of how we govern ourselves in this alliance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me put things into perspective. Yeah. Last week I had a conversation with Professor Dr. Danny Pule.
Yes.
That told me that, look, I'm having engagements, and he categorized two groupings in the Tonse Alliance. He said, I've had a conversation with a group involving Honorable Raphael Nakacinda and Honorable Given Luwinda, and also I'm trying to have a conversation with a group involving President Sean Tembo and Chris Zumani. So he categorized you in two groupings. So when you say that there are others that are making decisions without consulting, the decisions are not unilateral, does this already tell us that the Sean Tembo and Chris Zumani group have been making decisions without your consultation? Because Dr. Danny Pule already told us who the groupings are. So then does that give us that it's Sean Tembo making these decisions without consulting you, or it's the other way around? You've been making decisions without consulting them.
No. I think Dr. Dan Pule or Professor Dan Pule has his view, which view I think we must respect. Our own position is that this attempt to create, quote-unquote, two groupings of Sean Tembo Zuman and Patriotic Front is an unnecessary perception on narrative to advance. There is Tonse. There could be one or two individuals that may just require to be guided on how best they can contribute to uniting a Tonse alliance. For me and Honorable Wind and others, we are deployees of Patriotic Front into Tonse, just like President Lungu was a deployee.
So when you say reconciliation, who do you want to reconcile with in Tonse?
Reconciliation is that if there are, the word reconciliation is used deliberately. If you belong to an organization, and like you're saying, it looks like there are squabbles or issues that are prevailing that speak to disunity. For you to attain unity, you have to engage and be able to reconcile your thoughts, your ideas, and if at all there are differences at personal level, reconcile at personal level. The depth and the definition of the differences can only be understood when people come to the table. For now, because the discussions are still on, I may not be able to authoritatively say the difference emanates from this one particular aspect. Maybe it could just be personality clashes,
So who are you having these discussions with in your road to reconciliation?
Everybody in Tonse.
Such as?
We have had discussions with Professor Dan Pule himself, okay, at our initiative. We have a discussion with State Council Chifumbanda. Not necessarily that there was any difference, but just to have an appreciation of what his thoughts and input is around the alliance. We have had discussions with, President Peter Sinkamba of the Green Party and the People's Pact. We have had discussions with Professor Nason Ngoma, the former Vice Chancellor of Copperbelt University, who is basically the secretary for the People's Pact. We have had discussions with different stakeholders, including church leaders and others who have been gracious to offer themselves to make an input, to make sure that the opposition remains strong, especially the Tonse Alliance.
In your press note for reconciliation, SG, we've also heard conflicting statements from President Sean Tembo that says people want us to be sober about how we're dealing with issues in the Tonse Alliance, but we're not going to sit down and have a conversation with UPND agents. That's what he posted on his official Facebook page. What would be your reaction to that?
My reaction would be that it is those sentiments, unfortunate as they may be, that needs to be brought to the table. Let people clarify what they mean. Playing to the gallery, this smear campaign, and to try and outwit each other in terms of who speaks the loudest, I don't think is helping the alliance. What will help the alliance is sobriety, like others have said, and we have also said. If there's any sticky issue, it has to be brought to the table, discussed, so that we can be able to move forward. When people begin to use, to insult others and to demean others and accuse others, it may just be that maybe their ideas on and their points of argument in their favor of their whatever ideas they have maybe have exhausted. The only thing that they may resort to is either insulting, false accusations and so on. So to that effect, I don't think would want to start responding to things that are said where clearly you see people playing to the gallery. What we are involved in is serious business. Our discourse is in national interest. We are talking of wanting to govern over 20 million souls, and therefore we are supposed to take this assignment and calling seriously. It can't be reduced to the pettiness that I think has been expressed among politicians in this country generally. Now, as we assemble ourselves within the opposition, setup, we must demonstrate to Zambian people that we're taking this vocation or this assignment very seriously. And I am reluctant to join into pedestrian conversations around who said what. When you say UPND agents, who are the UPND agents and so on, I think, like the Bemba say, every subject, assertions or whatever somebody may have, if it is brought on the table, it can be ironed out.
Okay, let's talk about something that sounds to be more binding. Just last week, we had news that for you to be a presidential candidate in the Tonse Alliance, you have to pay 300,000 kwacha, and also a date was set at which the president is going to be sort of unveiled or selected, and also the chairmanship role that has also been advertised. Were you consulted on those decisions that were given to the public, and that seemed binding?
First of all, it's totally out of away from what the initial agreement was, and also what the governing documents speak to. Okay. When the Tonse Alliance was formed, it was very clear that when it comes to a presidential candidate, it was already predetermined. Predetermined in the sense that the rules of engagement from Patriotic Front were very clear, that Patriotic Front was going to produce a presidential candidate.
So that was the agreement?
Yes.
The agreement when you joined Tonse Alliance was that the presidential candidate comes from the Patriotic Front.
Patriotic Front. That
was the agreement.
That was the agreement.
Every political party agreed to that.
Agreed to that. Okay. Those who joined initially and even those who joined later, there was no manipulation or maybe something being sneaked in from the back door. It was in black and white. Colleagues, we are the largest opposition political party, would want to go into an alliance, but these are the conditions for which we can go into an alliance for the entire Patriotic Front machinery to be supportive to this alliance. One is that presidential candidate will come from Patriotic Front. And that's how come on the day of launch.
So you went in to bully the other political parties, SG?
The selection of words sometimes is what distorts the meaning of what you are engaging. It's not bullying other people. It's speaking to reality. Okay? We have political parties like PEP, for example, who when you look at the structure arrangement of PEP, apart from Sean Temba and a few people who are in PEP, PEP is depending on Patriotic Front in relation to the structure arrangement for us, for us to really put up a meaningful political, context in 2026. The other political parties you can talk about in opposition, which one?
Christian Democratic Party, Dr. Dan Pule, Green
Party, and all that. If we are to realistically discuss in terms of the capacity at human resource, level, it can't compare to Patriotic Front. So it's not about bullying. It's about, discussing realistically which political party in this case is able to bring to the table the masses required for us to really compete against the European.
And at that time, all of them agreed to say yes.
And that's how
go with the Patriotic Front.
That's how come President Edgar Chagwa was even declared on the day of launch that he is the candidate for 2026. Okay? And if Patriotic Front was to produce a presidential candidate, it was even declared then that President Lungu was the candidate. In the absence of President Lungu, according to even how the documents were, crafted, PF needs to go to a conference, elect a replacement of President Lungu in PF, and that is the person then that will take up his position as chairman and candidate for 2026. When President Lungu was in South Africa, and somehow, because there was a pronouncement, remember, in December of last year, that he was is it December or at least towards the end of the year, that he was ineligible. People began to shift in their seats around, issues of candidature.
In the Tonsa
Alliance, which basically was emanating from a place of optimism. And we said to colleagues, look, when we went into an alliance, we were open about what our intentions were. We were all agreed to the idea that the PF will produce a presidential candidate in Edgar Chagwa. Now that he is ineligible, in this case, PF will have to go to a conference and be able to choose a leader who will then take up his role. But you could hear whispers here and there. We're magnanimous enough as Patriotic Front to say, if you have any challenge around the governing documents and the rules of engagement, please, can you make any, whatever proposals and ideas you think can work moving forward? Because what will not betray is the idea of this alliance, not working, because that's what the Zambian people have asked for. Actually, the Zambian people have even stretched that we should even encourage other opposition political parties to come to the forward so that we have one united opposition front, whether under the umbrella of Tonse or Tonse with others, so that we can be able to feature a formidable,
opposition
and candidate. Because I think the idea of a two-horse race in the minds of the Zambian people is what they see as the best way in which 2026 elections can be held, so that the will of the people prevails, than to have votes split. So from the perspective of Tonse, we as Patriotic Front, we said, can we revisit these discussions, not in corners, not by sponsoring confusion, because you now that President Lungu is no longer eligible, and we're still, now that he has died, you turn from your corner and say, no, I don't agree to PF producing a presidential candidate. Come to the table. And we set up a committee led by State Council Chifumbanda to be able to look at the Constitution, to look at the MOU, and see, based on the submissions of all the member political parties and organizations in Tonse, to submit what they think would be the best way to approach. The pronouncements of friends have made to say November there's going to be a Congress, we're going to elect a leader. Tonse is not a political party. Tonse is an alliance. And the member political
So
parties...
for starters, you're not consulted on that one.
It's not even about consultation. We can't be consulted over something that is not lawful.
So that is illegal.
Those
Those pronouncements that were made were illegal.
They are irregular. There can't be a congress or convention or conference to elect a leader in Tonse unless we then revisit the documents as an alliance to come up with a mechanism outside what was agreed initially for which a leader we made.
So
outside that, whatever pronouncements that have been made are basically a figment of people's imagination or people scheming to try and do what others will call a palace coup.
So before you have those renegotiations on how that document was crafted, and as things stand, what holds is that a presidential candidate still has to come from the Patriotic Front.
That is the position.
Before you revisit those conversations.
Yes.
But as a Patriotic Front, are you open for you revisiting that conversation and perhaps changing the document and
Mr. Angel, if you were paying attention to what I was saying, basically you'd have picked it that I said we initiated the discussion in the Tonse Council of Leaders meeting that was held in December, or not December, I mean in somewhere around April, and somewhere in May, where we said that all these people who may be squeaking in private corners around issues of leadership after President Lungu should come to the table and have the courage to say, we think, yes, we agreed because President Lungu was the leader of PF and he was a suitable candidate, but we think that maybe the approach should be different now that he's ineligible. People should be courageous to say that now that he has died, maybe we may have agreed to that on the assumption that he was going to be candidate in 2026. And therefore, we think let's revisit the method to which a leader will be chosen to represent Tonse in the next election.
And those conversations haven't had.
Those conversations have not happened. The committee was set up possibly in April, led by State Council Chief Mbanda. You can ask him. Even in the last meeting we had last week, he was actually lamenting to the fact that my committee hasn't received any submission, save for these activities that are taking place that are only leading to confusion.
And when were you planning to meet for these conversations?
So we have now set a timeline. Up to the 15th of this month, we expect that the committee will have concluded collecting submissions. And the work on those submissions, including the documents that they are sitting on, which is the current constitution, the rules of engagement from PF, the terms of reference from Tonse, and then also the other terms of reference from People's Pact, and whatever else that they'll collect from member political parties and other stakeholders. Then they can be able to bring to the council a proposed MOU or governing document that will spell out all these issues. And upon us agreeing, as member political parties, that will become now the template that will govern us moving forward and also determine how leadership will emerge, including the selection of a candidate. But each political party is expected to follow its own constitution within that political party and be able to put in place, as provided for in the Republican Constitution, that there must be intra-party elections that are held in a fair and transparent manner before the general election.
Yes, but
so PF is going to have that exercise undertaken. That's how come you have seen elections at lower organs being held and validation of the committees.
Yes, but also to be fair to the other camp or the other group that has gone on to announce presidential candidate fees and also all these nomination fees and the dates that they have put, one may argue to say that look at the state in which the Patriotic Front is in. Now that the former president is no more. For you to choose a presidential candidate, you have to first go to the General Conference.
Yes.
But look at the state in which the Patriotic Front is in. There's already Honorable Chabinga's side, and there's also your side. So don't you think it's only ideal that perhaps people go for this other route, because we don't know when these issues are going to be sorted out. We don't know when you're going to have a General Conference.
Well, when you say the state of Patriotic Front, you have to qualify it. There's just one individual being used by UPND by the name of Chabinga. The state of Patriotic Front is solid in terms of membership.
I don't think so it's solid, SJ, because if it was solid, you're going to be standing in these by-elections with candidates under the Patriotic Front.
If
but that hasn't been the case.
Allowed me to land, we are solid as Patriotic Front. When the Mingaratos of UPND continued to a point where they were stopping us going by what you have just said from participating in elections, we chose now what is supposed to be properly qualified. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I need to qualify. We chose the special purpose vehicle called the NCP. NCP was a political party that really people said it doesn't have anybody apart from the few individuals who are leading. But as a way of demonstrating that PF is solid in terms of membership, we adopted NCP as a special purpose vehicle. We went to our colleagues in Tonse. They all agreed to the fact that NCP would be the special purpose vehicle.
Yeah.
We, as PF, with the support of colleagues within Tonse, we began to feature candidates on NCP. And as it were, we demonstrated by winning Petauke parliamentary by-election. We have won a local government by-election, or have won some local government by-elections, including the recent one in Impulungu. Why did we choose a small political party like NCP? It was for us to demonstrate to people like yourself that all that PF needs is a certificate. The moment we reincarnate ourselves.
So if you are not able to have a certificate, then that doesn't. Then you are not solid, SG.
No.
You are not solid as a political party if you can fail to attain a certificate for your candidate to fill in nominations.
But you, as you ask, bear in mind that we are suffering at the hand of somebody who has abused institutions of government. When there was that so-called conference in 2023, the Registrar of Society, the Registrar at Registrar of Society, did say that she cannot admit the names that were being presented to change office bearers of PF because what they held is not a legal activity that can be called a conference. What transpired? She was hounded out of the office. You understand? Matters have been in court, and like you are putting it, these are matters which are supposed to be in public interest and resolved as quickly as possible. From 2023, this is 2025. Those matters have not yet been sorted out. There are people who have alleged that there is interference with the court in relation to matters to do with PF, because the UPND have this phobia or paranoia of facing, Patriotic Front in the general elections. So, to that effect,
Okay, SG, to be fair with your colleagues in the Tonse Alliance, you're saying you're solid. Okay, fine. But matters of the Patriotic Front are in court. I'm thinking Tonse Alliance and their supporters are saying, we don't know how long these issues are going to take. And time is running out. Don't you think it's ideal that we move forward on if it's on the 29th or 26th of November, we choose the presidential candidate and we start the build up to 2026?
Yeah,
because how long are they going to wait for
you
the
are
PF
mixing
to sort out their issues?
Okay, you are mixing things.
How am I mixing things?
When you say to be fair with people in Tonse, and then you start discussing PF issues, we are resolving our issues. And I've indicated, it's just that this is a public, we we're talking to the public. I don't think all our strategies must be discussed openly like this. You understand? Our friends have been, creating issues around every effort that PF makes towards finding a suitable way or method to participate in the election of 2026. We have indicated that we're going to go to a conference on or before the month end of November. Actually, our friends
as a PF,
as a PF,
regardless if the court issues are going to be sorted
forget
out
about
or
the
not.
court issues. That's another business. But as Patriotic Front, we definitely are going to have a leader emerge within Patriotic Front, and that will be done soon, before the end of November. Okay? How we're going to undertake that's a subject for another day. But Patriotic Front will choose a leadership, and that leader will then be presented to Tonse. If by that time the governing documents should have changed and it will require another selection process outside the status that the status quo now, where the president of PF automatically becomes chair and presidential candidate, if the Tonse governing documents should have changed with the process we're undertaking, maybe what will be dictated by those documents is what will subsist. But if the governing documents remain as they are, when we are done with our process of choosing a leader, that leader will be presented as chair and candidate for Tonse Alliance. That is the position. The only challenge is that there are people who want to also involve themselves in the affairs of Patriotic Front. You understand? And make them the Tonse Alliance affairs. Okay? The process within, Christian Democratic Party, Professor Danpule's political party, how they choose a leader and all that remains their internal affair. We will not interfere. What happens in PEP will not interfere. If they go to a conference and Sean Tembo is voted out and another person is made president, we will not interfere. But their slot in Tonse will remain intact,
okay,
based on the governing document. So even us as PF, we have our own internal process of replacing President Lungu now that is gone. And the one who take the mantle is the one who will be presented to Tonse as a deployee of PF. And then that deployee of PF, depending on the position of PF within Tonse, they will take up that responsibility.
Yeah, so then how do we navigate? Your spokesperson has said it's take it or leave it. We have announced those that are not comfortable can jump off the train. But for us, this is what we have decided. 300,000 kwacha, presidential candidate, you pay, and we select, and it's done. It looks like it's binding. How do you navigate that challenge?
Well, I think we'll give chance to the processes underway to be able to deal with whatever people have pronounced, to deal with whatever attitudes people have, to deal with whatever mistakes and that have been made, challenges that were faced. We'll give the process that we pronounced last week a chance. There is always a defining moment where you have to make a decision, collectively, in this case as Patriotic Front, whether or not we are making progress or what we are doing is detrimental to democracy or detrimental to the aspirations of the Zambian people. But for now, we think that we have mechanisms and capacity to be able to persuade each other and come to a common position that will serve the interests of the Zambian people. There are people who have made pronouncements. For example, Misaka Indechilema didn't make a pronouncement that is going to change the constitution. He even took the bill to Parliament. But through certain mechanisms, he was persuaded to withdraw. This time around, the speaker was even trying to impose and do a fast one on the Zambian people. Just a few weeks ago, they attempted to, even within the budget's, scrutiny process, they set a special day, I think it was a Thursday of the other week, when the bill needed to be presented to Parliament, discussed so that the process goes on. They made those decisions, but somehow they were persuaded otherwise, and today Bill 7 has been withdrawn. So I think give chance to the processes that we are undertaking towards reconciliation.
Yeah,
and remember, we are pronouncing that one of the legacy achievements of the late President Edgar Chagalungu was the declaration of the 18th of October as a day of prayer, repentance, and reconciliation. So that day is what we have targeted. As a way of honoring him, we should be able to achieve genuine reconciliation. And when we say genuine reconciliation, it's not just about personalities. It's also reconciling what has been pronounced and the decisions some people have made and those of other stakeholders who may not have been part of those decisions, so that we can be moving together.
Those of other stakeholders, including also members in the ruling UPND, are also targeting reconciliation in honor of the late former president, right?
Targeting what?
Reconciliation.
With who?
When you talk of reconciliation, not only among the Tonse Alliance members, but also you extend that hand to members of the ruling UPND.
No, I want you to focus on the subject. We're talking about unity in opposition. Okay?
So it's selective reconciliation.
No, the reconciliation at national level is a different subject. You can invite me tomorrow. Then we can be able to outline the issues that we need to reconcile on as a nation. Because right now we can divert. We need, for example, reconciliation around how we have handled the former presidents.
The funeral.
Including the funeral, just generally from the time he left office. All the way to the
all right.
death.
I'll get your comment on that even as we come to the end of the interview.
Yeah.
So now, in your efforts to reconcile, and I must tell you that from the other side, it looks like they are very strong with the decisions that they have made. If those efforts to reconcile between perhaps maybe your party and the other party of the Shon Tembo and the Friends, if it fails, what happens? Are you going to come to a point where you maybe decide to leave Tonse Alliance? I've had a conversation with Dr. Danpool, and he says we are considering leaving Tonse Alliance because what is happening, we did not subscribe to this. We saw the NCP also come out somehow similar. Are you going to at some point now decide that, okay, fine, if this is a route that you want to take, we as a Patriotic Front are leaving Tonse Alliance?
I'm insisting, let's give a chance to the process.
If the process doesn't happen?
Well, the process is underway, and we're confident in the process.
And if the outcome is not what you want,
no,
you're still going to stick around?
I think you may have to respect the fact that I'll stick to my guns. Let's give a chance to the process. I can't begin to give conditions at this, but I can't be saying let's reconcile. Then I am also giving conditions. If you are not willing to reconcile in Kakuma, then it means what is...
So you, as a PF, you don't have a fallback plan. For you, it's just Tonse Alliance and it has to work.
No. I think that's a misconception. We are giving a chance to the demands of the Zambian people. The Zambian people have said unite. Okay? For those of us who are from the bigger political party and possibly more experienced and have had even the opportunity of being in government, everybody is saying bend backwards. They know the ones who are causing the atrocities and causing, injury to the idea of Tonse. They know we live in the same environment, but they are pressing a demand on those of us in PF to say, do everything possible to make sure that the Tonse concept does not die, even if it has to be you bending backwards, swallowing every insult and every accusation and all that until you are able to salvage that which the Zambian people have accepted.
And that's
the Tonse concept has been celebrated by the Zambian people, and everybody is at pain to see that the petty squabbles could lead to almost breaking the alliance. You understand? And for me, I'm coming here as Secretary General to say we'll do everything possible to salvage Tonse. We will bend backwards. Let those who are expert at insulting others rudely and so on do their part. But we'll also try and sharpen our skill to be experts at managing, such people with love, with the spirit of reconciliation, and hopefully they can see that there is more in this thing than just personal and petty interest sometimes that can envelop somebody's mind or heart without being, objective. So we'll give this process a fair chance, and genuinely so. We think where there's genuineness, honesty, the results can only be positive.
SG, what of in your process, if the others say, we love the process, but we are not, now that the former president is late, we're not for the idea that it should be automatic, that a presidential candidate must come from the Patriotic Fund. And that's why we're saying let there be an internal sort of election process in Tonse.
They are free to submit that to State Council Chifumbanda. Their views, we shouldn't use shortcuts, to try and achieve. You may even have a brilliant idea, but the moment you cut short the process to try and achieve that brilliant idea, you end up actually aborting the idea. In this case, there is a process to which we can revisit our governing documents. So go and make your submissions. We are happy with the PF. There are other people who were happy to have President Lungu, for example, as candidate and chairman, and even put it in the constitution. And even say the chairmanship and presidency or candidates as preserve of PF, led by President Edgar Chakalongo. Okay? Excited at that particular time. Now that President Lungu is no more, how can you just turn and say, no, now we don't agree with this because President Lungu is not there. We'll start implementing another method. No. Come to the table and say, colleagues, we think that the circumstances have changed. And we think that President Lungu was a major factor around arriving at this particular decision. And therefore, is there a way we can, reconfigure ourselves so that maybe the choice of leadership for presidency is broader, over and above Patriotic Front.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad idea. We are looking at this particular point for a national leader. If you ask me, and this is my personal view, if you ask me as Nakacinda, I am praying and seeking for God's intervention to raise a nationalist, God to raise a patriot, God to raise a leader that will unite the people of Zambia. Because what we're experiencing now, and whether it is ethnic undertones, tribal undertones, they have become so deep that if 2026 we don't salvage the situation, this country will degenerate to possibly civil strife on the basis of tribe and ethnic issues. The UPND have lamentably failed to unite this nation.
Okay. Let's finish up with Tonse. The NCP are giving a hint that, look, we're not for this idea. The Christian Democratic Party are also saying we may consider leaving Tonse. Are you afraid, as you have said, the biggest political party in this particular alliance, that sooner or later we'll see quite a number of political parties leave the alliance?
Well, the truth of the matter is that when PF pulled out of UCA, you can speak to what the reality is today. If
NCP, special vehicle that you used to field in candidates, giving such green lights, don't you think you should be worried as the biggest? You'll find another one.
We shouldn't. We can't worry, in the sense that, for example, President Peter Chanda and his colleagues in NCP, the divine golden opportunity that God placed on their laps of being the special purpose vehicle in the opposition. I have spoken to my young brother, or my brother, that I think he has to use deeper lenses than just a political arrangement.
SG, don't you think it was divine purpose, or the way you said it, that NCP was given to you? Because at that particular time, you never had any political party that you could use to field in your candidates. So don't you think it was the other way around? They did you a favor compared to you doing them a favor. I mean, they literally gave out the political party to say, okay, fine, you can field your candidate
They never literally gave
on this particular political party.
Okay. So therefore, that's what I'm saying, that the moment the argument begins to reach a place of who did a favor to who, it's now going to go into unproductive conversation. The truth of the matter is, yes, we didn't have a certificate from the Historical Society, and our friends had a certificate. They didn't have the human resource. We do. And to that effect, we said, can we? The one who's growing in this situation is the NCP. It has now become a national platform, isn't it, with a member of parliament. A member of parliament from which political party? From, PF, isn't it? Because the member of parliament who featured on NCP was a member of Patriotic Front, Jehovah Jireh. Mr. Banda was a member of Patriotic Front. The candidates that we featured in all by-elections, including the one we won in Pulungu, were members of PF.
So, don't you think also maybe as the Patriotic Front, maybe when you get into these alliances, this approach that you are the biggest political party and perhaps what you decide must happen or must move, don't you think people that want to work with you maybe are seeing this to be a challenge? Because yes, you are the biggest opposition political party based on numbers in the National Assembly, but don't you think also there should be that level playing field to say, okay, fine, we want to work with you. What do you have on the table? This is what we are having on the table.
Well, Angel, I don't know, with all humility, I don't know how we can convince you and everybody that it's not from a place of bullying anybody, but from a place of just being realistic. If you're going into a business venture, you have an idea, and I have the money, and then we begin to discuss issues of shares. Then you start demanding that, no, let there be equal shares. Would that business even take off? It can't. Ultimately, you have to whip yourself to reality. And the reality is that maybe the one who has the money, you may have to offer them 60% shares. And the one who has a concept, maybe they get 20%. They are the ones who have a technical know-how, maybe another 20 or something like that. That's how business thrive. The moment you become greedy and say, because I've also come to the table, I have this idea, but you don't have the means, and you don't want to speak from a realistic point of view, the business will never take place.
I agree.
That's why the concept of anchor political party, in all alliances, study alliances, there is always a situation where when alliances, political parties come together, they will always be the one that is considered as anchor political party. The UPND, they didn't even complicate their alliance by calling it another name. They just called it UPND Alliance with other political parties. It was acknowledged that UPND was the anchor political party by virtue of the size of the political party in terms of human resource, structure arrangement across the country. These are realities.
Yes, and I agree with you on
the realities
of
which,
the
when they
business
are discussed, it's not from a place of bullying someone.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just a saying, for this to work, let's acknowledge that this person has this that they are bringing on the table. And for this to sustain, and one of the things that people don't understand is that, for example, on PF side, we have a multifaceted organization. Members of parliament, for example, is one facet. Council chairpersons and mayors is one facet, together with the councillors. We have structures across the country. Nakacinda cannot just wake up this morning and make a pronouncement and expect that everybody will agree. While, for example, the colleagues within the alliance, they can even just wake from in their sleep, they can make a pronouncement, and that sticks because there's nobody else to manage.
One may argue that it's the other way around. Yes, the Patriotic Front has all these human capital resource. They're the biggest opposition political party. But in its current form, there's one thing that they need that they have to get from other political parties.
Yes.
That certificate.
Yes.
If everyone says, okay, fine, the Patriotic Front, you are the biggest opposition political party, work on your own, you are not going to manage because there's that certificate that you have to get. And currently you cannot get it because issues are in court. So then on the negotiating table, someone comes to say, oh, okay, fine, we love everything that you're bringing onto the table, but we have that document that you desperately need. So then perhaps even when we're going to elect a president, let's equal share this. Let's go through an elective process, and if people decide, then that's the case.
Okay. Let's look at Tonse, for example. When we're discussing about membership, even to the council, we had a matrix which we were using, which speaks to what I'm saying. It wasn't about bullying anybody. It was a matrix that was crafted by technical people. What are some of the points on the matrix? Okay, a political party with a number of members of parliament up to 5, they will have a certain number of people represented at the council. Okay, when you look at PF, we had 60. That time it was 58 because we had lost Honorable Malanji and Honorable Sam. Already just by that matrix of representation in parliament, PF had way more numbers.
Biggest share.
You understand? Was anybody bullied? No, it's a reality. Then we scale it down, council chairperson level and mayors. We have out of 116, over 40 council chairpersons. You understand? Already using that matrix, it gives us way beyond numbers. When we talk about previous elections, political parties has featured at presidential level. PF has way bigger numbers. So even when it comes to the actual voting, as you put it can never really be the so-called fair. If going by your analysis, the reality will still kick in. You understand? Go about there was some list that was released, of members to the delegates and so on. The majority of those members are from PF.
The Council of Leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are from PF. Going by just that matrix. So when we are talking about this is what we agreed, that PF will be the anchor political party, it is not anchor political party from a place of people gloating and being braggadocious, around the size of the party. No.
Yeah.
We're saying if we are to meaningfully participate in 2026, we need to bring all the resources of these political parties to the fore. Now, I was saying that I can't wake up and just make a pronouncement. If members of parliament feel disadvantaged in this alliance, are they going to fully participate? The answer is no. If council chairpersons feel disadvantaged, those from Patriotic Front, are they going to fully participate? The answer is no. Yeah. If councillors feel like that we, the leadership in PF, are just considerate. I've gone in this alliance just to negotiate between few individuals and few officers. To get everybody on board, they must see that they are represented enough in this alliance. You understand what I'm saying? And that their interests are also, catered for.
Yeah.
The aspect of chairmanship and presidential candidates, when President Edgar Chagalungu was pronounced, it gave PF members across the country the confidence that, yes, we're going to alliance, but we have a stake equally. And the leader who we are pushing is a leader who also know all of us. There are realities in politics. You understand?
Yeah. For
somebody to sacrifice their time, energy, and all that, they also have to have a buy-in that this leader who I'm fighting for will acknowledge my effort.
Most definitely. SG, what we are getting from you this morning is that in as far as the Tonse Alliance is concerned, you are down for reconciliation. And before you make any statement, for you want the process to happen, right? That's
Yes,
what we're getting
yes.
from you. All right. Very quickly, before we bring in the cause, before we get in cause, there's also been questions that have been raised to you and leadership in the Patriotic Front, that we've seen that issues may take even a little bit longer than they are taking in the courts. Have you, as Secretary General, tried to engage Honorable Robert Chavinga outside court to iron out your issues in the Patriotic Front?
Well, we succeeded, first of all, in our engagement with Honorable Mao Sampa. It led to reconciliation, and I think we're working quite well together. We are hoping that similar results could emerge both in Tonse and in PF. But like you have rightly put it, time is not on our side. And we also can gauge the level of determination towards destruction that is coming from some of the colleagues you are referring to. But we are strategically decisive, and I'm using deliberately the word strategically decisive. We have put timelines, and the timeline is that between now and the 18th, which is next Saturday, certain things should happen. By the 18th, we are before God and making, pronouncements, and also a path towards 2026 will be clear on all fronts.
So you haven't engaged him outside the court?
Well, there
Robert
are
Chavinga.
people who have engaged him.
So there are people that have engaged him on your behalf?
Yeah, some stakeholders. And we are yet to see.
So you can confirm that talks are ongoing between you and...
No, I can neither
him.
confirm or deny.
But so far with the talks...
I think we are more focused on Tonse. That subject, Mr. Angel, there are people who are captured. And if certain things are disclosed here, possibly it could even put their lives in danger. You understand? Because of the commitments they may have made and so on. So I can only but leave matters where they are.
Okay. 0956-200-490. That's a number that you can give us for your contributions and questions. Okay. And also on Facebook, you can come through with your contributions. Let's get to the phone line, 60 seconds, straight to the point, so that we have as many callers as we can. Hello, good morning. You are through to... Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Hello, Angel. Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Ngoma calling from Ndola.
60 seconds, Mr. Ngoma.
Yes, Mr. Nakacinda, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ngoma. How are you?
I'm fine. The new Congress party, which we are using as a special vehicle, pulled out from the Tonse, citing that there was some sort of disrespect. Is it that maybe they thought maybe we are just going to ride on their party and disadvantage them? Because the way I see, if somebody has provided a special vehicle, then that person in whichever capacity should be in the executive. So does it mean that they pulled out because they were not recognized anywhere near recognition? Then coming to Tonse, there is a Tonse which was near the late president, and there is a Tonse which has just come up. Now, how are these two? Because these are the most important figures which are making Tonse to turn apart. They are the so-called the new Tonse and maybe the old Tonse. How are you putting these together? Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, Mr. Ngoma. Hello. Good morning. You are through to the program.
Good morning, Angelo.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
Bashmala in Lusaka.
Yes, Bashmalan, go ahead with the contribution.
Nakacinda mchani.
We know Shmalan Mushano.
Mungu alipanonoshi. Nakacinda muingire mwakosa kwa mano okutala obutungushi bwangu nga mulemu n'abanenu abo bali kujere nimwe bene munga balubula nimwe bubiri mwalike ekintu bwino abantu bali bakutte mu ekipaniiki so please lekera ifo omuntu fe umufe eminini tapwa ngali mundu bire ngamona wakalunguro mukashana lekera nise eminini tomuka takwati mwe donsa ne mobeni mweka ifo abata background ifo mara tinenusha mamuni sapota bini so please take chintu chimwe chamano omuntu fe omonga bentunguru site kwe bakoze kimwaba utungusha awe mutaleke omuntu mochako mutungirire tapo abantu balefu yobuteko nomwe ba PF kwa tusinga pinchi kuntapo ngefwaya mamuni Nakacinda balubinde bose mule donta nati kuyande statement urasoma ngo police uratezi police wapapata metumvira ko ruseba makuru abini metumvira ko turati pinga tani bayipindi aba ngawapita ni chapo twafo.
Okay. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Good morning.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling with Lusaka. Morning, Nakacinda.
Good morning.
Your name?
I'm Diana.
Diana?
Yes.
All right, go ahead with the contribution, Madam Diana.
Nakacinda, chipeni chintu chimonga ba SG for mwogo twachindiki. Elise chintu echitsuma. Lekeni bonsa balefo kuimina. Kabiye ku convention. National army bakufe background support. Kabiye ku convention. Bonsa botule umfati abena mundolo. Ngale bika mwempia ngale pesha ngale chipesi amano. Kabiye ni musendeni bonse muyo mwimini. Ku convention. Kubiyo kusala mwanfwa. Ikale ntula umfati kristu zumani bali uko. Abo bali uko. Nakacinda mwele kontola buno sinto shishi baso finga mishupira filia isha kuba tumita abantu shishi bacho chanda yanga fumina mupati afu mo mwarebo chanda takwata abantu kwaitoke fwe bantu nfoto abakonstituale tungira chanda tati amine kapite chimona bena ali kalaba mwanfwa iteni bomsyaba tuchita chintu turubuli abantu tugaba lubula nsala Nakacinda ngamwenda mu muchibuli uchuchu kushatala mwene kapu. Hello, ukuba arrogant kwaba UPND kwabaleterera.
Okay.
Arrogant okutunga abantu kola efira yefingi. Abantu nabachula, abantu bale bachitabduct. Ukuchitabduct umuntu bamusenda so. Twati bayi mwamona, usafika kubuvi umuntu ngalwani chinaya afwa. Ngamoneka nishimwara kwenza bishekana ngo chitumbi umutoli uko Nakacinda twapapa taikale nipanchi naba ukula katapaliko kutwale mitipala maneta ivula kushenkana. Itene ni mbalungu pakubasala pali kushenkana na propene na tushiba kontrolo na nise bonse bala baleteni pamo.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution, Madam Diana. Really appreciate. Thank you so much. Let's get one more call and then you respond to these concerns. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very well. Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Sanje calling from Kembe Central Zambia.
Yes, Sanje, go ahead with the contribution.
Good morning, Mr. Nakacinda.
Good morning, Sanje. How are you?
Thank you very much. Inenina mafufachape ya ngono. Kuse Nakacinda mwakamba kuti munankala pansi na ba material MP member of parliament. Chifukwa kumbuyo kuti nzonzera kuti vaja vamao zisampa vanachitowa sponsor na va UPND kuti vamene vanachita vicha ushe Nakacinda pamene munankhala navo vaja vantu vamudala vaja vanakuuzani kuti va UPND ndiye vanachita ndiyezonipatsa ndalama ivi vanakamba kuti yes. Did he confess to you? Munigwirire. Because if what Malsampa did was illegal, which means he's a criminal, he is a jail bound. Did you report him to the police? Honorable.
Okay.
Then finally,
very quickly,
I heard you to say angati simu za kuizana wa UPND wakawini, there will be pandemonium, there will be chaos because of tribalism. originalism. Nakacinda, I think that statement is very wayward. Because if many Moyamba there will be pandemonium, are you going to sponsor it? Because we are one Zambia, one nation. To me, you are a leader. If you start issuing such statements, which are alarming, I don't think you are going to augur with the law.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Womsanje, calling us from Kembe constituency. Always good to know that you are tuned in. I have a text message here that should be part of maybe your response to this one says, hello, good morning. My name is Esau. Is it true that as a patriotic front, you have engaged the family of the late president on who will be the next party president of the PF, asking if you have engaged? We actually saw a statement, a story. I cannot remember who it was attributed to, but it was in these lines. But anyway, we'll get it from you. I think you could respond to these, and then we'll get 3 more calls after you respond to these.
Okay, first, let me start with the last one.
Yeah.
The text. First of all, the engagement with the family is not in relation to asking them to tell us who the president is. We are duty-bound now that the time is leading us to having a conference to choose a leader, especially that we have not buried. We are still in a mourning period, that we engage the family to get them to appreciate the issues that we're dealing with, the electoral calendar and the timelines that you're working with, so that they appreciate, and we also get their full blessing as we're undertaking in intra-party, processes and election to arrive at a leader. That's the engagement. Mr. Ngoma from Mondola talked about NCP. Did they feel disrespected? I think from the engagements I've had so far with President Peter Chanda, I think his greatest concern was what seemingly was hypocritical, according to him, from those who were pushing a totally different agenda in relation to a special purpose vehicle. Because the way within the Tonse family, those who never accepted from the onset that NCP was chosen as special purpose vehicle, they have been pushing for an alternative. And somehow he felt that at every given juncture, the subject of a special purpose vehicle would come in. Others would be saying, he doesn't, NCP is not reliable and things like that, which I think was fairly, you can say, insulting. But from the Patriotic Front perspective, our consideration for NCP is what I explained, and I think we'll continue to engage. They also try to suggest that there's a new Tonse and old Tonse. There's no such thing. They are just new ideas that people want to advance without following the due process, which I think we're saying we'll be able to cure between now and the 18th of October. Bashimalani said, choose a leader quickly. That's what we're going to do. Bashimalani, don't worry. That will be undertaken. But Diana says, do something noble. Go to the conference and let everybody be allowed to participate. That's how come Diana Turando Kutina, the process to choosing a leader will be transparent. It will be open to all. We are looking for a national leader, and that national leader will not emerge through exclusive processes, but an inclusive process, one which is going to encourage us have a broader and wider selection of leadership. But the values we are looking for in a leader are known. Mao Sampa, did he say he was sponsored by UPND? It's obvious. Mr. Musanje.
Did he admit?
He did admit to the fact that what he thought was an adventurous arrangement out of what he personally thought he was being defranchised within the Patriotic Front. All of a sudden he was captured. The police got involved, OP got involved at Komunungush Conference Center where he wanted to have a retreat. It turned into a den of Sondera, recruitees and police to give him cover. And before long, change of office bearers were being done in a supersonic speed in the night. He also lost control, and all of a sudden his status got involved. And before long, when he was now beginning to say, but what is this all about? They quickly moved and they shifted allegiance to, Chavinga and started using Chavinga. So, I mean, there are many other issues that may not necessarily be disclosed here. But the truth of the matter is that Mao Sampa has done a noble thing, and that is to realize that I think what was a small thing has become a big issue, and it is injurious to democracy, injurious to the party that he loves. And he has come to the fore, and we've been able to reconcile. And now we're working together and fighting together to make sure that PF, first of all, in terms of the structure arrangement and human resource, does not die or get fragmented. But more so, where possible, maybe we can get the documentation at Restore Society realigned with the current leadership. I think that's what I can say.
Okay, let's get 3 more calls and then we call it wraps. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Mishek calling you from Undona. I'm to be specific.
Yes, Mishek, very quickly, 60 seconds.
Thank you. Vice Jim Lishan.
We know where Mishek Mishana Gondolok.
Turechura Vice G.
Empire.
If you Bashmala and Vachland. First, Vice G. Muchana encourage Kairi registration, voter registration night camp.
Empire.
Chofila Lava, Mkwai. Abena Zambia won't say, Lamulengufa, Avia Nimuxperejet. That campaign to issue 2026 or 44. So that register and she prepared for to catch that. So Kabian register. But quickly, na papa, I need the papa. Salad wangu because Pansha Patupitana, Pabantu, what nobody done with. So to run the Tokira to Kamipera. Nobody on Senga to render. Turebarafe tukamipera mwarishi w'omuntu ofya baranaka tupeni wangu pija ba president so that wangu turesonta fweze dari abantu nabeshi bokutira 2026 barechinge ubuteko efiri background ifondemi
we'll have to let you go, Mishek. Thank you so much for your contribution. I'm sure the SG has gotten your contribution. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Mwasebenta bwanji.
Bwino mauka bwanji.
Au kabwino mkamba na Mwami Kalenga.
Mwami Kalenga. Where are you calling us from? From within Lusaka?
Inde, within Lusaka. Bwanji ba SG studio.
Hello, good morning, mwe bwanji.
Awe ta ukabwino.
Nziko.
Chenga kambi nchakuchipitiza nkutikambirako, ba new don government waletla kurani ngaziko eno. Takabira kuma confusion na minali MPF. Yo kambati hii why mwe kambati ba UPND wengo sponsor abandani muziba palibe na fichi tamneli papa maona imingala concept naona hii kione tulione kila watu tunzona it sponsored kufaka kukana na umboni wa bwino tinambira bandani ba spokesperson ba UPND kukamba kuti ama confusion ni muona ya mu PF haya ndi something cha sponsor singabambele manje umbone mfuna ni wabwanje ukuru wokira paliyo muntu akamba to some of us we are the one who are sponsoring in UPND we are the one who are sponsoring this confusions manje kambecha kupera kunkani ya sigulizano nizo na gulizanani mlanzo kusibini wajobeni wana mapepa ngati ndoto watankala selfish atia ikani na mapepa so nzacho kama but japepa ni osunga tabe tunga imile na watu wine kulibe deninga kulitima mimi nikakutandivia tumusengere pamoja nikutuche pepa yema sengera pamoja than just because na paper so ni kanisa with uzaso mlete sote mo drop
All right.
Maona
we'll have to let you go, Mama Mikalinga. Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much for your contribution. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program. Hello. Good morning. Your name and where are you calling us from? Wash pressure, 60 seconds, please.
The patient Tungushin Kalamba. I think the Kuchilio Chala Boniface Mutatari once in a SD. To the Kavira background. Ikatani, Nakacinda, apart from that, in window, never Mutelo, you never brand new. Tatunga once a time. Tatunga once a take a punch time. Tatunga vice president punch time. Umwafile adako meya umbishani. So Nakacinda, exactly what's in the Chungan PF. Also, the person in 2026. One thing about the mission from the Kakwa. Petition anymore. If you're a Kakwa, 2026, Nataka advice is Mukaka. So please, don't take any contention. It's a trust to Yakula, that last quarter Mutengo. Nobody to 2026, because the short bread, there's a bread in 29 quarter. We're going to do that. That people to come up with the Avanavadia. Mukaka.
All right, we'll have to let you go. Thank you so much. Because of time, we'll have to let you go. Thank you so much. Last caller. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program. Bueno Maukabwanje.
What is the Muzuira Twani?
And Ima Muzuira.
Your name and where are you calling us from?
Rana Angela, College of Garden, Chulolo.
Mkwai, go ahead with the contribution.
SG.
Okay.
Pata wiriza nani onani mavuto ameleta pita pamene mwenze muri leadership ya PF tunapitepo mavuto ya SWA kipe mpava SG first department leader background pano ndipe vantu vopiriza ava varipo ava tinavasurani kudala tifuna kuti vakonganyepo mu 2026 vantu mavuto aneta pitamo ndiye yakulu va SG Nalapera SG Mulutu amuswalisane please. Vafa ground runa we is very much intact. You pay ndiru batakulwa 2026 please. Amwine fafasi mutu anekaupera mina. Muketeri dari mumwakweza kulikona heruka gotela. Manyando erufitire mwateni kiamanga tauru SG. Nalapera nakupa. Mulutu erero na Mazambiani. SG.
Look at
Thank you so much for your contributions, SG.
Yeah, I think all the callers are basically giving a word of encouragement and advice on how we can proceed on these matters. But I think what is very critical is what Mishek said. All those who are listening to this program, voter registration, mass voter registration is on. It's just for a few days. We encourage all eligible citizens to register as voters. Those who may have lost their voter's card, please, this is an opportunity for you to go and replace. If your voter's card is destroyed or it is not as clear as it used to be, please, this is an opportunity for you to have it replaced. So let every Zambian take this civic duty to go and register, or indeed take their children, their neighbors, and others who are eligible to vote to go and register. All you need your NRC, obviously, and the other details you can confirm when you get to the registering officer. And this is being done at every polling station. I think if you go to the council secretary or the council, they should be able to guide where the registration is taking place. And please, let's register in numbers so that the power in the vote we are able to enjoy it and utilize it in 2026 and be able to put in place a leadership that will carry your aspirations and be able to do that you expect from them.
Thank you so much, SG. I'm sure the Electoral Commission of Zambia is going to be very happy with you for that appeal to people to register as voters. You should send them a quotation. Thank you so much. Let's get your concluding remarks.
Well, the only thing they are never happy with is when we expose them on the basis that the commission is led by non-UPND cadres, because Madam Ngalazanomis is a UPND cadre.
That's another conversation for another day.
Yes.
We'll invite you for that one.
You should.
Please, your concluding remarks as you wrap
I'm
up.
grateful, and I can only assure the Zambian people and those who have called in that we'll do everything possible by God's grace to not misrepresent the people of Zambia. They are looking for a formidable political platform that has every opposition leader that means well for the country participate, so that we can be able to redeem the Zambian people in 2026, and that will be achieved.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, SG, for coming through to the program this morning.
You.
Thank you so much, everybody that called, texted, and also our viewers on Facebook. Thank you so much. This is where we come to the end of the program. Up next, we do have Monday's edition of Lifestyle with Chipo. Chatback is next back into your speakers on Wednesday, even as we continue to build up and look forward to the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance, and Reconciliation on the 18th of October. My name is Angel Kasabo. Good morning. Yeah,